but but
Hello.
but are you ready is the
Uh,
thing.
yes, we are live and we are ready.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Yes. Hi
Hello,
guys.
welcome.
Welcome to Don't Muddle Monday. Yeah, this is the show where we talk about whatever issues are on your mind, whatever's going through your noggin that maybe you're worried about, maybe you're stressing out over, or maybe you're just like curious about. Maybe it's some philosophical question or psychological question. Maybe you watched a movie or anime recently and it just really made you think and you want to talk about it. That's cool. That's what we're here to do. But mostly we're here to solve problems. Now, a lot of times we don't solve them. Obviously, you guys do. But we can be here to help and encourage you along that way. Give you maybe a little bit different perspective on certain things based on our experiences that we lived in our life. It's kind of things that we get to tell, like if we could go into the past and tell ourselves stuff, like we totally would. And so this is our opportunity to do that for you guys. We've all lived different lives, so we all have something to offer each other. So if you want to post in the chat, some advice as well, or some different stories like you've encountered about the topics that we cover, please do. Absolutely. It's wonderful to see you guys in the comment section doing that. And it helps out a lot. So yeah. But yeah, if you want to leave any comments about any issues or whatever, just drop it in the chat here, or feel free to put it on our website, bss.studio, or send us an email at dww@bss.studio. But yeah, I think I covered all of it. Oh yeah, we're not professionals, so don't sue us. that was part of it. That's right.
That was the one.
That was the one that I forgot.
I was waiting for the "don't sue us" part.
Yeah, that's don't sue us. Yeah. So without any
and if you
further
decide to, good luck, because we've been broke.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna get much. Yeah.
Like, can you get blood out of a rock? Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe if someone bled on it before, yeah.
Squeeze it really hard. I don't know.
Can you squeeze rocks? I mean, anyways, Joe, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. It's really good to see you.
It's good to see you too. You look really amazing.
Just like you.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I feel amazing.
You are amazing.
I've been sitting. This is like the chair that I've been in all day.
Oh, congratulations.
It's become a fixture of my body.
Oh, good.
Yes.
I have that every day.
Yes, I've been working on Double Cup of Joe podcasts.
Jesse has that every day.
So, he does, man.
The Princess is also with us. I don't know if she has that every day. She's probably in an actual sofa, which is either more or less comfortable. And it could be either. And both.
Princess says my eyebrows look exceptional.
Ooh. Wow.
They do.
You should learn the one eyebrow at a time thing.
I can't do that. That one's a hard one. I can do that one pretty good. That one. I gotta like push this one down.
Oh, that's good. Oh no, just put your hand in the way. That's good.
Yay!
One time my brother, something along the lines of, he was laying in bed and his wife came to him and he was just waking up and he said, "Hey, can you wiggle your nose?" And she's like, and he's like, "I can wiggle my nose. Watch this." And then he went back to bed.
Yes. Yeah, we have awesome. People hearing reverb. I'm wondering, it may not actually be reverb.
It might not be reverb. It's there's a TV on and it's not up to me to set the volume on it or anything. So we have company over and that's just kind of how it is right now. So I'm going to be muting myself periodically, especially when Joe's doing his talking. But thank you for the reminder, and I will make sure to turn that up. I'm going to turn the mic this way. Hopefully that'll help a little bit and get rid of some of it and make me a little louder.
I'm going to make sure that I say, "What do you think, Ryan?" a whole bunch.
Okay. Yeah, please do. I love it. Actually, I love it when you do that anyways. It really keeps me on the spot. Sometimes you're like, what do you think, Ryan? And I'm like, it's just straight. I was just daydreaming about hot dogs. So
Yes, hot dogs
yeah,
and applesauce.
I'm thinking, yeah, that would be good.
Maybe
You could
I
put
don't know.
you could put applesauce on your hot dog. I think that would be good.
You totally could do that
Because the bread and the applesauce would taste like an apple pie.
with a hot dog in it. Imagine putting a hot
Yeah.
dog in your apple pie.
Yeah.
You could eat. That'd be something.
Yeah.
Man, where are we going with this? All right, well, let's. Hey, we got a show here.
Yeah, let's do it. So guys, I love you, and you know what? Again, if you guys have anything in your mind, please post in the chat. We don't have a whole lot. Well, actually, we only have a few that are really relevant to recent. Other than that, we've got a decent sized backlog, so we can keep on tapping into that. But if you guys have anything, we will go to it first. If there is, if there's Swilk, aka Matt, or Royal with us, let us know, because either of you guys, we have topics from you that are recent, and it'd be great to do it. Oh, where do I post it? Ah, fantastic. Kishan, you could post it right here in the chat, or sweet, Swilk is here, or you can put it on the forums. Princess Yellow just posted it. You can just start a new topic there and write whatever you want there, and then we'll get to it later in the session. But if you feel comfortable with it, you can just type in the chat if you want. Both of those work well for us. Thank you. Yes. Seriously, thank you. But yeah, since Swilk is here, you know what? Let's not do his. No, okay. Obviously, let's do his. I'm excited because
Swilk says he's with us.
He's awesome. And it's a pleasure to get to do a topic from him.
And you know what? I think of you all the time, Swilk, because every time I click on the BSS.studio, I see the banner that you designed right there in front of my face. And it's like amazing looking. So thank you so much.
Phenomenal artist. Absolutely. So yeah. If I remember correctly, is this? No. Okay. So okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. No, sorry, Princess is gonna read it first. Sorry, I got caught up in the old way that we do things. So this one's from Silk. It's titled, I think this word is pronounced limerence. Limerence?
Or limerence.
Limerence? I've never actually heard the word pronounced. Swilk gives us the definition in the topic, which is fantastic. But I don't know how it's pronounced, so good luck, Princess.
It's limerence.
Okay, sweet.
Okay,
thank you.
Princess
thank you.
She
keeps
us on track because she's awesome.
We appreciate you. Feel free to go ahead and read it whenever you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Do you know the word limerence? The exact definition varies, but broadly, it's a state of mind of being infatuated with someone else. More overbearing than a simple crush, but still a kind of fantasy love. It's a great word to use in poems if you want to be dramatic. Anyway, love in general became a very actual topic in my life almost exactly 2 weeks ago from now. So, to set the scene, I'm at a birthday party. Most of the evening has gone by, and now it's about 1 a.m. I want to find a quiet corner to do some drawing in my sketchbook, not entirely without an ulterior motive to catch some attention. Sure enough, a good friend comes up and sees my latest artwork, compliments my drawing, and chats with me for a little while. Then another really good friend comes up. Now, this is a girl who I've always had a mild crush on. Like, I wasn't ever overly flustered around her, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't extra hoping for her to come by and chat with me. Her first reaction when she saw my drawing was, "Holy wow!" Oh, sorry. That just stuck with me for some reason. I know that she was never one to use that type of language. And to get such a sincere, unfiltered response from a fellow artist, no less, was a great feeling. Perhaps the best compliment I've received so far. Bonus points because she was, my crush. Then we started chatting some more, and she was so sweet throughout the whole talk. She talked a lot about her art, and she's way more talented than I let her know back then. But somehow still, she told me something along the lines of, "Gosh, you're very nice." At this point, I should mention that she was slightly intoxicated. To me, it seemed like she was just way more sincere and open about her passions when she was under the influence. But take it for what you will, personally. There are other points of the half an hour conversation I remember, but I'll spare you the details. I went to bed around 2:30 and finally fell asleep like half an hour later. Finally, trying to calm down from the buzzes of dopamine in my head. I didn't drink a drop at that party, but I felt more intoxicated than anyone else there. It was just a very nice experience. Now that's a lot of exposition, but I think it's necessary. You see, the following days, I started feeling a little insane. I literally could not stop thinking about her, even though I tried to, and I fell into a state of limerence, and hard. And the thing is we're both naturally very shy people. I've only contacted her once after the party to share some references of my characters that she had asked for. So I'm here, 2/3 of the summer ahead of me, left inside a scary fantasy love. It's been only 2 weeks, and I already have had thoughts of her on me, and thoughts about her, and thoughts of her about having thoughts of me, and etc. I mean, what if there's a better person out there for me and I'm too much of a romantic for my own good? And it'd be a second year in high school relationship, and that doesn't sound sustainable. The best advice I've heard so far is from Your Lie in April, which I decided to start rewatching. And there's a chapter that says, in the end, you should let the girl decide. But then I don't know how I should contact her, and maybe I should just wait for the summer to be over. But anyway, it's late, and I'm getting a bit loopy here. Do you guys have any advice/helpful stories to share? In any case, I hope you enjoyed my long-winded story. I sure enjoyed writing it. Thanks for reading, Matt/Swilk.
Thanks, Swilk. Yeah,
thank you very much.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a good story. It's cute, it's fun, and it's very interesting. I'm curious, is there any advancements or anything new in development that you want to tell us? Obviously, you wrote this, I don't remember, a few days ago at least, right? So I think it's like almost a week ago now. Well, no, not fully a week. But I'm just curious if you had any contact with her or anything, if anything's happened since this story that you want to tell us about or not. But yeah, this is one of those, I think I know I've been here in this situation, and it's really cool when you're really, you're into a girl and she gives you, you're like sitting there wanting her attention, and she actually gives it to you, and you're like, what? And then you just freak out for the rest of the night and more, etc. Okay, totally been there. All right, so I love it. It is a wonderful feeling, but I'm sure Joe has experienced this as well. So yeah, let's see. So do we have any advice or stories we can share about where to take it from here? How do you handle this? Where do you go? Where do we go now from, as Guns N' Roses once said many times in one song?
Is that what Guns N' Roses said?
Yeah. Well, Axl Rose said it. Maybe not all of the roses of
maybe not all of the
Guns N' Roses. Yeah, maybe not all of them, but Axl Rose definitely said, "Where do we go now? Wow, where do we go?"
Yes, but you sound better.
I don't think so.
You don't sound like him.
No way. He's, as my brother said, if he can make it big, Ryan, you got nothing to stand in front of you, like holding you back. Like, just sing. All right.
You know,
I love it.
His voice is very, very unique.
Very unique,
sure.
very distinct. And
yes.
Anyways, yeah, thank you so much, Phil, for sharing. And I'm excited to be able to cover the topic. I'm going to give it to Joe so he can share with you his thoughts and his wisdom. So go for it, Joe.
Yeah, you know, it's so interesting because I was also extremely shy. I wasn't all that shy when I was really young, and then all of a sudden I got really, really shy, and then I got picked on a lot, so then I was even more shy, and I was just angry with everybody. But that doesn't mean that I didn't have a crush on all kinds of people from time to time, right? Like, because it's just, you know, it happens, right? And so, how to deal with that when you're an introvert and you know you have a crush on someone, or in this case, it's even more like you're talking limerence, where it's even a stronger feeling, right? And so I love how your description was, you know, I literally could not stop thinking about her, even though I tried to. And then it was like you're thinking about what is she thinking about me, you know? I'm thinking about your thoughts. Like, you not only are you thinking thoughts, but you're thinking thoughts about your thoughts. Like, so then you're like, so I mean, it goes even to the next level. So yeah, I've totally been there before. But I could never ever bring myself to talk to a girl. I mean, I could, you know, in class or whatever, you know, for class stuff, but not ever like just socially. I was very socially awkward for especially throughout high school and a lot of college and everything. Um, but yeah, it wasn't until I started learning people skills that I was able to kind of come out of my shell a little bit more and learn about how people operate. So um it's so interesting because this is a topic that you can use whether it's somebody you have a crush on or somebody you're falling in love with or somebody you just want to be friends with, somebody you want to have, you know, maybe you want help from them. They're, you know, a customer service person. I mean, people are people. We respond to the same types of, you know, emotional and mental food. And when so a few things that we can do, you know, that pave the way so greatly. I mean, even though yes, right now you've got this feeling, your emotions are a roller coaster and it's crazy. You know, if you can relax a little bit and rather than think about your feelings, if you can think about her and her feelings and like what, you know, like what's she all about, learning about her, if you can ask her questions about her and learn more about her and be sincerely interested in her, not just because you want to have a relationship with her, because you know, not just for those reasons, but because you sincerely want to know more about her, that's going to go so far. And it's so interesting because I know for me, anytime I would let on to a girl that I had a crush on her, it's like she'd run away. I don't know if that's the same for you. I don't know if that's the same for everybody else, but like that was always the case for me. Like if I even like hinted at the fact that I had a crush on some girl, she'd be like, you know, away. And come to think of it, now that I look back, I recognize some of the actions of some girls that had a crush on me when I was in school, and I was naturally kind of put off by it. I would avoid them, right? And it's weird. So like if you can take those feelings you have and I'm not saying to discard them totally because they're there for a purpose, right? They're there to help you get excited, maybe motivated, you know, but take those and this is a great time to learn a little bit of self-control because if you want to pursue a relationship with her, then one of the best things you can do is set those feelings aside and be calm and ask about her, be genuinely interested in her. And it's interesting. There's this principle called the 3A principle. It's called acceptance, approval, and appreciation. And this works with all people, unless they're just already in a really bad mood and they just don't want to talk to anybody at all. But if you accept somebody just as they are, and if you let them know that, like you don't have to say that to them, but just through your actions, through how you are with them, it shows that you accept them. It has to be sincere, or else if you're fake, that comes out too. So, but truly, genuinely accept her, and then truly, genuinely approve of her, and then appreciate her. And I think you won't have a problem with this, seeing as how your feelings for her are the way they are. But those three things gave me such a huge boost of confidence when I was dealing with people, and it helped me in all of my interactions with all people, whether they were girls or guys, or whether I had a crush on them, or whether and by the time I learned it, I wasn't really allowed to have crushes on other people because I was already engaged. So, but I could have a crush on my future bride, and it could help smooth things along in that regard too, right? So, but those things can help so much when you're dealing with those other people. Now, interestingly enough, when I can remember getting this girl's phone number, and I mean, I see that you've contacted this girl, and so you can share some references of your characters and stuff like that. I think that's awesome. Like you guys have a connection in art, which is really cool. And that's a great point where you can like really come together and do some stuff together, and then develop a friendship that then grows from there, right? So it can really be genuine and real. And you have it kind of gives you an excuse to get together and work together on stuff, and stuff like that. So you kind of have a doorway there, which is cool. But I remember getting this girl's phone number and then calling her. It took me a long time to call her, and I finally did. And I was going to ask her out. We were both in college, and I said, I asked her if she wanted to go get a burger, and she said, "I don't eat red meat." I was like, "Okay. You want to go get a cup of coffee?" "I don't drink coffee." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, do you want to go see a movie?" And she was like, "I'm seeing someone right now." I was like, "Why didn't you tell me that the first time?" Like, what is this? You keep me going. And then, yeah, so then there that was, right? And so she ended up getting engaged to this guy, and for over a year. And then she broke up. This girl is now my wife, which is crazy. Like, like, so it just goes to show that no matter what happens, like, it's not the end of the story necessarily. I had another girl that I was a girlfriend with, that I was a girlfriend with. She was my girlfriend. I was her boyfriend, right? First serious girlfriend I ever had. I was just graduating from high school. She was still in high school. And we had a very serious relationship. It was a very painful breakup too. But and basically it was a hard break, right? And I remember my roommate in college. I was sharing a house with four guys in college when we broke up, um and one of my roommates said to me, he's like, "Oh yeah, this isn't the end of the story." And I was like, "Okay." So then, but for years, I never saw her for years, never heard from her, never nothing, gone totally. She had gone and married some other guy. I heard through the grapevine, whatever, he had been my friend in high school, whatever. We weren't friends anymore after that whole thing. And then it's like, oh man, how old am I? I'm old. So it's like 20 years later, right? And I'm taking my kids to their swimming, to where they're going to swim school. You know, I have an 11-year-old and 8-year-old. They were not at the time; they were younger. But I go there, and there's this little kid, you know, like crawling around, and he's got this weird looking hair. And you know, my niece is sitting next to me, and she's kind of making fun of that kid's hair. And then I look back, and the kid's mom is my ex-girlfriend. She's sitting right there. She looks at me. I look at her. I'm bald now, but she still recognized me. And we both like kind of shot each other a glance, and then that was kind of it. You know, we still didn't talk or nothing, right? So, but the point is, it wasn't the end of the story. There was still more to be said from that story, even though it was years and years and years later, right? So one of the things I've learned is that no matter what happens, you can botch this horribly. She can be seeing somebody else. There can be all kinds of obstacles in your way. You never, ever, ever know what's going to happen. We don't know the future. So all you can do is what you can. And in this case, you know, I know you've thought about it. You expressed in the post that you've thought greatly about it. You know, you've thought about your thoughts, you've thought about her thoughts, you know, and you can think to yourself, all right, what advantages do I have? You're both artists. You can spend time together doing art. You can get to know her, really get to know her, get to know what makes her tick. And if you listen and pay attention, you'll be able to sweep her off her feet, because you'll know the things she's into, you know the things she likes, you know the things she likes to hear, to receive as gifts. You'll start to learn her love language. You'll start to learn her temperament, and you'll start to learn how to interact with her in the best possible way. But you got to pay attention. That's the key. And that's why when we focus on our own feelings, which is so hard, because when we have this strong of feelings, they're like blinding, right? We're not paying attention to other people as much. We're just like overwhelmed with emotion. But if you can take those and control them a little bit, enough to pay attention to her, you'll learn so much about her, and you'll be able to gauge your conversations in order to make sure she feels safe and loved and accepted by you. And that sets a great foundation for any type of relationship you wanted to pursue. So that's what I have to start. I'm turning it to Ryan. Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, actually I'm gonna go away for a second and come back. Every 30 seconds, all the audio cuts out for about 2 seconds and comes back in. I just don't want it to happen while I'm talking. I noticed it's happening since the princess and Joe have been talking. I've been hearing it every once in a while. So I'm going to go ahead and...
So I got to come up with some more to say?
Yeah.
Man,
just for a second.
That down just perfectly, man. That was all like... Okay. Well, at any rate, you're awesome.
Thanks, you too.
Oh, he went away. Like, wow, I didn't know he was gonna go like gone. All right, so now there's one of me over here and one of me over. Oh wait, no, I'm up above and down below. Right, I'm alone in this. Thanks, Bravo.
All right, I'm back, and you're gonna have to do the switch.
I am Static P.
Yeah.
Whoa, this feels great.
feels nice to be on top, doesn't it?
I am Static P on high.
Feels good to be king.
Enough of that. I prefer the basement.
Yeah, me too, except for it's cold.
That's why it's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the cold. That hurts.
You should shave your head.
I would get more cold. What, Joe? All right. Thank you, Joe, for opening that up. That is great. Swoke, yeah, like I said before, I remember being in this scenario. And it's just like what Joe was saying too. Like a lot of times we we tend to be most attractive to the people that we're not really trying to be attractive to. And also another thing is interesting. So going through school, going through high school, and then also college and beyond, work in my workplace, even, I noticed that I don't gain a whole lot of friends or especially like romantic interests from others if I don't talk to people, which makes sense. But for some reason, I didn't put that together when I was young. It wasn't until I developed people skills, like Joe was talking about, that I actually learned how to make friends. Which sounds like it would make sense, but we are not told this growing up. We are just expected to somehow know it, or maybe our teachers don't know it. Maybe they're not allowed to tell us this kind of stuff. It's kind of weird, but no one tells us this. Like, hey, you should work on your people skills so that you can make friends. But anyhow, I found it interesting that in high school, like, okay, elementary school, I was the cute kid with the bowl cut and I had blonde hair, and when I walked around, my hair flopped. It was great. And there were a lot of girls who wanted to be around me. Okay. Now it's elementary. You do have crushes in elementary. I had one. But they just wanted to be around me. I had a lot of friends that were girls and guys. And then, eventually, I kind of became a shut-in. I didn't talk to anybody anymore, and I kind of lost all my friends, right? So through pretty much 4th grade, 5th grade, all the way through middle school and then high school, I had a very few friends. We had a group of us, and there weren't any girls in it. That was that. I didn't have any friends that were girls until I turned 14 and I started playing games online. I made a few friends on there that were girls, and I got a girlfriend, surprisingly enough. And she was from Canada. I remember it's funny because I asked her out over an email. Amazing.
So were you like Pigeon Toady and Storks then?
Huh? I don't think I get the reference.
Hi, bro. You see my girlfriend? She's from Canada.
She's from Canada. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Well, see, at the time, it wasn't that weird to ask someone out over an email if you're asking somebody out online, because email was the normal way to message people. But yeah, I mean, I asked her out over email. It was very formal. It was very well written. And she was like, oh my gosh, I feel the same way. And so we started dating.
Oh.
And then about a year or two later, I started to be more open with myself out in the public, right? Out in high school. And I've told this story tons of times, but I became really I had a hero, and that hero was the way I am online, because the way I am online is usually just me trying to be the best version of myself. And that's what I wanted to be. But I wanted to be that on public. And it's really hard when you're shy. It's really hard when you're introverted. It's really hard when you're not comfortable talking out loud. You're not comfortable with other people. You're always worried they're going to make fun of you, especially. I mean, that was my issue. And so I remember being really impressed by this person, which was me online. And I was like, I want to be them. They have all these friends online. Like, I had hundreds of people like that I could call friends online. I would come online in a game and I would get like 4 people immediately messaging me as soon as I got on, things like that. And I was like, this is so cool, it's kind of annoying, but it's really cool. It wasn't really that annoying. It's just like, it's hard to get to everybody, and you're like, I can't get to everybody. I don't have all the time in the world, Too many people want to hang out with me. But how come real life's not like that? How come in real life I don't have any friends? And it's like what I was talking about before. You're not going to make any friends if you're not talking to anybody. So when I forced myself to actually just sit down next to people and start talking to them and having, these conversations, it really helped a lot in, just all of a sudden making more friends. So here's kind of what happened. kind of crazy. So I didn't have any, that I know of, any girl interested in me throughout basically middle school and high school until the last 2 years. When I started to open up and make friends with people, at one point in time, there were at least 15 girls that wanted to go out with me at one time, which I am not bragging about, but because it's actually it kind of sucks because you have to tell all of them no. Because I was already dating a girl. She's from Canada, bruh. And so my point is, right, in those scenarios, I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. In those scenarios, I was just actually deciding not to be shy anymore. And it was a choice. I was like, I've been shy all my life. And I have not had any, I have had very little success when it comes to personal relationships with people. When I finally stopped being shy online, boom, lots of friends online. When I finally stopped being shy in real life, boom, lots of friends in real life. Because I was already okay enough as it is. People like me. They just didn't know me. I didn't let them know me. It was my fault. And so if you're a shy person and they're a shy person, that's okay. But I would urge you to take this opportunity to try to learn not to be shy. Because it's something you learn. You might be introspective. You might be someone who is very reflective. They live most of their life in their head and they're not really affected by the outside world all that much. But their mind is constantly going crazy. And that's okay. That's kind of how I am, right? And that's how Joe is. I mean, Joe set a good example for me when it came to getting out of my shell and talking to strangers, and so going down that journey, right, I learned, you know what? It's just a choice. It's just a choice of, am I going to be shy or am I not going to be shy? And when I decided, okay, I'm not going to be shy anymore. Yes, I had to force myself to go up and talk to people. I had to force myself to engage with people. And that was difficult. But it really paid off. It did a lot for my own development and growth. It really helped me out to be a stronger person. It helped me out with my personal relationships. Even helped me out with my relationships that I already had, which is phenomenal. I learned how to be better at dealing with people because I was dealing with people more because I wasn't being so shy. You said, I think I'm mainly shy online. I'm always so reluctant to send that first message. Totally fair. Yeah. I think that when it comes to messaging people online and stuff like that, you can always, like I say, you can always put a disclaimer like, hey, message me when you're available, or that kind of thing. You can put those little disclaimers so that they don't feel like they're being forced or whatever, right? And it's more for you than it is for them. You just don't want to come off as bad because you're a little worried about what they think of you, right? But I think once you get used to it, it becomes not a big deal. You just message someone, it's like, hey, and you leave it there, and you don't even say anything else. You're just like, hey, and then you let it be there. If they respond, cool. If they don't, cool. It's kind of how it goes after you get used to it. And or if you have to leave a message like, hey, something's going on, blah, 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 blah. And then you treat it like it's an email and you wait for them to get back to you. And then if you're both on at the same time, then cool. Hey, you can actually have a conversation and it's cool. But yeah, I would say ultimately, right, with the whole topic. So going back to the topic here, what should you do? How should you navigate this? And one of the things you said is you're not even sure you want a relationship right now, and that's totally cool. I think that's a good position to be in, personally. So if I were you, one thing is, she could have feelings for you, right? You don't know. But you don't ever know until you find out for yourself. And that's by asking, And what I would recommend on that is something really simple. Say, hey, I'm not really sure, it's interesting. You could bring up a topic, right? Easy topic to bring up. Be like, so like romance, what do you think of it? Like, I'm not sure if I really want to date right now. I'm not really into it for some reason. I mean, maybe, not sure. What do you think? And then you'll get into the topic with them. They might say the same thing. I'm not really sure. Maybe, maybe not. You interested in anybody? Well, kinda, and then you can navigate the conversation. And you could say, if they ask, you could just be really honest. And it's awesome because I love to embrace the awkward. It makes life fun and it makes relationships real. So like if they ask me, hey, are you interested in anybody? I'd be like, actually, yeah. And they'd be like, oh, really? Who? Oh, it's you. Wait, really? Oh. Yeah, I know. It's super awkward, right? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's all right. I mean, you don't have to like me back. It's just, a one-way thing. We're cool. We're friends. And they'd be like, yeah, all right. Well, that was weird. It's like, yeah, it was weird, right? But hey, that happens in life. And then you continue being friends. Boom. Easy as that. And you know what? That's happened to me before. That whole thing's happened to me before. And it was okay. In fact, we were better friends for it. It never turned into a relationship, but we were better friends because she was like, wow, you're really open about this kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be honest, right? We're friends, So it's crazy that you can do that, but you can do that. And if she does like you, if she's interested or she's not sure and she's willing to like test the waters, cool. That's a good response too. Either way, it's fine. And I think that's how I would personally navigate it. That's how I've navigated those types of things in the past. And I've never, ever had a relationship that's fallen apart because I talked about my feelings for them. Ever. Because I guess when you're not worried about whether it turns into a relationship or not, but you're just going to be honest with your feelings, like, hey, yeah, I have those feelings for you. So it's just how it is, but you don't have to reciprocate them. It can be awkward for them and it can be awkward for you, but as long as you're tactful, you can navigate it pretty well. And I don't know, it turns out all right. And like I said, you can turn it into something that makes your relationship even closer. But again, you got to be able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the only way you ever become comfortable with being uncomfortable is by being uncomfortable. Yeah. So I learned how to navigate those situations because I got used to being in awkward situations. I was in them a lot. I would force them. I would literally walk up to tables at lunch and do really weird things. Like sit down with a new group of friends, like a new group of people that were not friends, and be like, hey. I'd be like, hey. And they'd be like, okay. What, welcome to the table. I'd be like, yeah. You're going to eat that? I'd be like, yes. I was hoping you would. Because you need that in your body. You need all of that in your body. I was looking at you and I was like, man, he should really eat that food. Just make things really awkward for people. And it's wonderful. You learn how to navigate conversations and you don't worry about when things are weird because you get used to it. So I don't know. That's my recommendation. I know it's weird. But that's kind of generally how I've learned to navigate those kind of scenarios, because here's the thing. To be honest, to be truthful, in a relationship is so much better than hiding hiding things, hiding feelings, hiding facts, whatever, right? So if I have a problem with somebody, I think it's important to go to them, right, on a one-on-one and go, hey, so yeah, I love you no matter what, but I noticed this thing and blah, 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 right? And we work it out. Usually if I have a problem with someone though, I go to myself first and usually it's my fault. Usually. But if they're doing something wrong, I can try to tactfully bring it up, or not even bring it up, but kind of bring it up like third party or whatever. But also same thing. If I like somebody or if I have mixed feelings or whatever, I'll tell the person. Why? Because if I'm open with my relationship, I'm going to have a whole lot better of a relationship with everybody I know. That's just the way it is. And so that's my approach. But anyways, that's that. So yeah, I'm gonna give it back to Joe.
Well, I really don't have much else. You did that well, Ryan.
Thank you.
What do you think, Ryan?
I love you. That's what I'm thinking right now.
I love you too. Oh wait, that's not what you said.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. Good.
Yeah, it is. Whew. Wow. Imagine if I said something different.
Wow, I know. I was gonna be like, oh my.
Yeah, wow, what a guy.
Olive juice? Yeah. Sure.
Olive juice. That's what I said. Why would I say I love you? Like, that has no context here.
I don't know.
Olive juice, obviously.
Let's embrace the awkward.
Yeah, please.
Let's do that. Right.
A moment of silence for the awkward.
Good moment.
Good moment, guys. I feel closer to you already.
Swilk, I just gotta say, you're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really proud of you. I think it's really cool that, you were able to connect with her at the party. You were able to connect with her after the party. You know, so there's awesome. And you can take all that situation there and use it. You can use the situation to get to know her better. And so that would be a really, really cool thing. So I wish you the best. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. So it's wonderful to hear from you. And you're extremely talented. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of what you bring to the world, because it's exciting. So, guys, looks like we've got some more topics. Thank you, chat. I love you guys. I really appreciate it. Both Joe and I do. It's great to see you guys, contributing. That's how you pronounce that word. But yeah, so let's do some of these. Okay, so we got Royal. If you're here, let us know. But yeah, I think let's move right on to Kenshin Slayer, since he or she posted theirs first. Just 22 minutes ago. Nice.
Yes.
Sweet. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this one is from Kenshin Slayer. It's titled Community Arguments and Online Friendships. Good continuation of our last topic. So without further ado, I'm going to let Princess read it for us.
How do y'all feel about communities that constantly argue? It's sort of a basic question, but I really do think that it can be done well. I'm thinking about this because I just recently became active in a small private Discord with a lot of extreme elitists who all have crazy hot takes and are not afraid to argue about them for hours on end. Do you think that that kind of community can last? I personally believe that arguing is perfectly fine as long as you have respect for the other person, but I'm curious to have a second opinion. It's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, since most people in the server also have the same insecurities. I'm also somewhat related to that. How the heck do you determine when you're actually friends with someone? Lol. I've been talking to a guy from Brazil for about 4 or 5 years now, and I would absolutely consider him one of my best friends. He's the only person I ever DM on a regular basis. On the other hand, I've been a part of a related community to the server I mentioned for about 3 years, and I know many of the people there well. but I know nothing about them IRL. Don't get me wrong. I think the internet anonymity. Thank you. That word. Yes. Is sort of a sacred rule. So I don't go asking those kind of things. But I think actually knowing some of the IRL details about a person is nice. Because honestly, it can be kind of scary to be friends with a person who could suddenly disappear and you'd have no idea if they got into an accident or harmed themselves or something else. The second is actually kind of likely with some of these guys. I guess my question is just, between someone you've hung out with on an extremely regular basis and talked to constantly for 5 years, some people you know via a group Discord server, where do you draw the line on who you can and can't rely on? From Kenshin Slayer.
Awesome. Thank you for reading that, Princess. And yeah, Kenshin, this is a great topic, and I'm excited to cover it when I get that chance. This is something that we've talked about a few times on this show, and I'm sure people in the chat have a lot they can offer in advice for where to draw that line, and what is a friend? How do we identify these things, and how do we do so that it helps our life the best, right, and helps other people the best, so we can, and then also, do we have certain friendships that maybe they're not real friendships, but we have to cross that line in order to make it a real one because it might be worth it. We have certain people in our lives that we're just not close to because we haven't crossed that line yet. We haven't opened up enough, or we haven't engaged in a serious conversation with, but yet we've talked to them hundreds of times, and we just have to seal the deal, by becoming intimate in, that sort of manner, close. But yeah, I think that this is a great topic, and I'm excited to hear what Joe has to say. So take it away.
It's an interesting question. You've got a few questions baked in here, which is really cool. And at first, about the communities that constantly argue, I think a community like that could totally last. I have friends that I've argued with on a regular basis. There are times we have Black Static and Swerve meetings, and there are arguments that happen in those, and we all love each other, and we all care about each other, and we all want to succeed together. We all want to do what's best together, and so that turns into arguments because sometimes we don't necessarily always see eye to eye, or sometimes I have an idea and I get informed of how bad it was.
It's not usually by me.
It happens frequently, but but the cool thing is that we're all just trying to move forward, right?
For sure.
And so we can argue and we can leave our feelings and our egos to the side and be like, okay, I am not attached to any idea here. I'm just trying to move things forward. Now, in a community that just argues for the sake of arguing, that to me sounds kind of like Fight Club. There was this old movie called Fight Club where there were these guys that after work they'd get together and they'd fight. And it was a way for them to burn off steam. It was a way for them to express themselves and to, so then when they were in their normal day-to-day life, all the tension of normal day-to-day living would not get to them. It was a way for them to just blow off some steam. I have that somewhat in my martial arts classes that I do with my kids. Even though we do them on Zoom now, we don't actually go to a martial arts studio to take the classes. So I don't get to actually fight with people anymore. I get to act like I'm fighting with people.
You get to fight with the air
on the screen. In fact, today we had class, and one of at the very end we were doing this since we can't spar in person, we have to do sparring combinations, so a certain combination of punches and kicks and whatever. And so we did that for a while, and it was like, okay, now it's just free sparring. You just do whatever you throw, all your punches and kicks, whatever you want, randomly, blocks and everything. And I'm gonna highlight this person, and you guys all act like you're sparring him. So
Interesting.
So it was really kind of cool, you know, because like he was throwing punches and kicks and we'd have to block and stuff and then get, you know, so we'd never done that before, but you know, it turned out pretty cool. It was a really cool idea.
That's cool.
So
That's cool.
I was impressed with our instructor on that one. That was cool. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I have a really good friend of mine who I was in a band with for years, and we would play and we were great friends and we would talk for hours and we'd get together and we'd have band practice and it was his house and he had a hot tub. And one of the favorite things we'd ever do was when it was winter and we'd have band practice and then we'd go out and we'd sit in the hot tub when it was snowing outside, which is just great. Man, I had hair back then. And there's nothing like sitting in a hot tub when it's snowing and your hair is frozen, but your body is super hot, right? It's amazing. But we would sit in that hot tub for hours and we would have political arguments. We lined up on the opposite ends of the political spectrum at the time, right? So we would sit there and we would talk about arguments. You know what we found out? We found out politically we didn't see eye to eye. But deep down, we wanted the same things for our lives. So we had a lot of the same values. Now, some of the things we could take or leave with the other person, right? But we wanted the same things. We wanted to be free. We wanted to be healthy. We wanted to be happy. We wanted opportunities. We wanted opportunities for our kids. These were things we wanted. We just had different ideas on how to get there. And we would argue. But we still loved each other. And so I think, you know, being a part of a community that argues, that's fine. The key is to love beyond the argument. You know, even though people don't see eye to eye, that doesn't mean that they have to hate each other. That's a huge fallacy we have right now. And we've had for many, many years in our country. We're kind of programmed to think if somebody doesn't line up with us, we're supposed to hate them and talk bad about them behind their back and do all kinds of, you know, nitpicky stuff and blah, 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 blah. No. We love people. You have the capacity to love anyone and everyone. Beyond any argument, beyond any disagreement, beyond any of that, we can love. And it's a choice. So for your last question, where do you draw the line on who you can and can't rely on? I'll tell you how I answer that question. I treat people as people. And I say, you know what? Everybody has a life. Everybody has stuff going on. I can rely on everyone. And there are times when I'm let down. And there are times when I let other people down. And that's okay. Because we love beyond all of that. It doesn't matter. You know, now obviously, we don't like being let down. And I don't like letting down other people, for sure. But there are times it happens. But it doesn't change the fact that I love these people. Right? So then you just make plans for whatever situation arises. And you're just like, okay, how do we handle this? All right, no big deal. We'll just handle it. Okay. But always put the love of the other person first. And you'll find that you'll find friends everywhere. You'll have friends online. You'll have friends in real life. You'll have friends everywhere. When you decide to love. In fact, even in my inspections business where people are angry at me all day long, I end up making friends. Mainly because I know they're stressed out when I show up. I know they're stressed out because I showed up. Because I'm reminding them of their financial struggle when I show up. It's not anything personal. So, with a little bit of compassion and a little bit of patience and a huge dollop of love your neighbor, every single one of those people you can consider a friend and an enemy. Because, hey, we're all just people. And none of us are perfect. But we have the capacity to love. So with that, Ryan, what do you got?
I think you really set me up to talk about this really well. So thank you. Absolutely, man. Unfortunately, having that problem again, and you're cutting me, I'm cutting out. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna have to leave and come back.
I'm gonna get to be Static P again.
Yeah. Yes. Well,
leave quick so I can be Static P.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Bye.
I'm gonna be half and half. I'm half and half now. Did you know half and half is better for you than milk? I think, anyway.
Hey, everybody, I'm Joe, also known as CDVNL, and I'm here to talk to you about Kenshin.
Hey, I'm Static P.
Awesome.
I embrace the awkwardness.
It's single cup of Joe in this case. Watch him not come back. Oh, geez.
Never seen my girlfriend? She's from Canada.
I don't have a Canadian girlfriend anymore. Oh. So, sorry. So, yeah. Thank you for starting that off. And yeah, absolutely. I love what you're talking about with, just love people. I think if you love people, obviously, that makes it a lot easier and more genuine to make friends. Here's why. So, to help understand what Joe's talking about, he said you have the capacity as a human, you have the capacity to love everybody, right? But I think in order to understand that, I think it's super important to identify what love is. What is love? And obviously now you have that song stuck in your head. But regardless, love is desiring the best for somebody and willing to do the things that make that happen. Willing to do the things that help them in their life for the better, right? Yeah. What is love song? Love, 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 baby, don't hurt me.
They're singing it in the chat.
Yes. You guys are awesome. Don't forget to do the thank you, Nori. I was just gonna say don't forget to do part. Okay. Do 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 do. Okay. Thank you. Do 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 do. Okay. So, love is desiring what's best for somebody. I once heard Matthew Kelly say. No, Matthew Kelly's a speaker and also a businessman, and he does a lot of talks and stuff like that. He once said that the best teachers in life are the teachers that help us become the best version of ourselves. The best parents in the world are the parents that help their children become the best version of themselves. And the best friends in life are the friends that help their friends become the best version of themselves. So I think that really helps us break it down, because then we can see the line there. We can go, okay, is this a person who I can rely on? Rather, is this a person who's desiring the best for me and is willing to do whatever that is to make my life better, to make me a better person, right? Are they willing to take the steps necessary? Are they willing to make any sort of sacrifice to make my life better? And I don't mean like, are they willing to give up their toys to me? That's not making your life better. We're talking about friends that help instill virtues, friends that help lift you up, whether you're down or not, friends that notice the good in you and really bring that out of you. Friends that Also, maybe know some of your faults, your bad spots, and yet see past it and help you to move forward past those. Help you not feel so self-conscious about them, so put down by them, because they're your faults, and you're afraid for other people to know them, and you don't like them, and they don't like them, and yet they look at you and they love you. Rather, they desire the best for you anyways, and they're willing to see past your problems in order to make you and help you become a better person. That's a friend. That's what a friend is. That's a really good friend, right? And we can all be friends doing that. There's nothing wrong with arguments, right? Because like Joe said, at the end of the day, sitting in the hot tub, they wouldn't be doing that if they didn't love each other, right? Mm-hmm. They did that on purpose. Mm-hmm. They engaged in that conversation on purpose. Mm-hmm. But
we knew what was about to happen.
They knew it was about to get heated in two ways. We're going to be heated discussion and a heated tub of discussion. But they still, even through that, they still wanted the best for each other. That's why they were talking about it. They're like, hey, I want the best for the whole world. So this is why I want to talk about these politics, because I see they have an impact. Like, I want to talk about the government because I see it has an impact on our society. So let's talk about the government, see what we can figure out, and we're going to disagree. But at the end of it, I still love you, right? So how do you draw that line? I think that's one of the best ways to draw that line is that the person who is trying to make you the best version of yourself? Now, the funny thing is we're human. We don't necessarily know what that is. We don't know what's best for each other all the time. We don't know what's best for us most of the time. We go through life and we're like, wow, that was bad. That was bad. That was bad. Whoa, all this is bad for me. And then, a year later, we're looking back at it and we're like, wow, that was a really good thing. I'm glad all of that bad stuff, well, it wasn't really that bad. It was turned into great stuff. That was good for me. That helped build my character. That helped build virtue. That helped build me as a human being. Helped me be more considerate or passionate towards others and things like that, right? So we don't always know what's best, but still to desire it for another and to be willing to make a sacrifice. Rather, be willing to go through something that's not comfortable, something that might be out of your way, feel like a waste of time, require great patience, something that requires physical effort or mental effort for another person, for the better of them. I think that is a friend, right? So I think that's one way to really identify that. And if you go to this group and you find people like that, it's funny because we get into these heated conversations, right? And we feel like we're defending ourselves. Well, we are defending ourselves. We don't impress anybody by defending ourselves, to be honest. We impress people more by listening to them and agreeing with the points that we agree on. Mm-hmm. We don't impress them by defending ourselves because the only reason we're doing that is because we want to look good to them, right? The only reason we ever defend ourselves is because we don't want to be looked down on. We don't want people to look bad at us. And it makes sense. Like when you're being accused of something that you didn't do and so on. But in the end, never was a person defending themselves and then people suddenly go, wow, that person's like super attractive. I want to be around them all the time. No. It's more important to spend your time listening and pointing out the good that is in the other person's argument. So if you go to these places, right, and you got all these people arguing, you can literally make a crazy amount of people like you in that environment. If you just take time to go, wow, okay, hold on, everybody, wait a minute. So that's a really interesting point. Just saying that. Could you expound on, could you tell us more about that? Or how did you discover this? This is really interesting. Even if you don't even agree with it. Mm-hmm. He's like, how did you discover that? That's really interesting. Because it could be like, you could just be like, that sounds really weird to me. Like, I don't get that. How did they come to that conclusion? Right? But it could be also differently. They have a different look on life. Why is that? What have they gone through in their life to give them that perception? And am I possibly wrong? Because I only know what I've been given to know. And maybe they've encountered something in their life that has shown wisdom or shined. Here's the thing. Like, we've talked about this before. This is awesome. Every religion that exists today has truth in it. Mm-hmm. And we know that because otherwise they crumble, they fall apart because they just like, once people go, okay, that there's no truth there, and it just crumbles, right? Mm-hmm. Every religion has truth in it. It doesn't mean that every religion is 100% true. Obviously, that doesn't work. They don't all work, right, together. But we can acknowledge there are truths and there's wisdom inside of every religion, and that's worth something. Mm-hmm. That is worth something. You would never go, oh, I'm going to completely ignore Buddhism. Okay, let's say you don't agree with some things in Buddhism, right? Let's say you're, I don't know, Hindu. And you're looking as a Buddhist, and you're like, I'm not going to listen to anything that they have to say because I know that they're Buddhist, and so therefore they're wrong, right? Well, now you can't learn anything from them. Mm-hmm. You only hold yourself back. Mm-hmm. But if you can go in and be like, tell me about your religion. And then when they say something, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's actually really interesting. Or you notice something that's similar between the two religions. You'd be like, wow, that's super cool. So we have something that's really similar to that. And they'll be like, oh, really? And then you'll actually open up a discussion where you guys are learning and agreeing and becoming more close, as opposed to separated because you have different religions. And you get to discover more actually about your own religion. Believe it or not, one thing that's interesting is a lot of religion is connected. Well, that's because we're all on Earth. Mm-hmm. And history is history. And our religions are connected through history because history happened. And that's how our religions came to be. And so you can learn so much through these debates if you aren't afraid to not, I guess you can learn a lot about a situation if you aren't worried about the way people think of you, right? Mm-hmm. You talked about insecurities, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that is a major reason why we have such issues. I mean, Joe brought this up. We have this thing where it's like, just because they disagree with us, right, means they hate us. Right. And we know that's not true, right? Deep down, we know that's not true. Doesn't make sense. But yet we all feel that because it's like, I'm sharing a part of me with you and you're disagreeing with it. Therefore, you're disagreeing with who I am. Mm. That's how we take it. But that's not realistic. That's not realistic, right? Like, here's the thing. Let's say you really like spaghetti. And someone else doesn't like spaghetti. And they're like, I don't know about spaghetti, man. Some people will go, what do you mean you don't like spaghetti? What are you, crazy? Spaghetti's so good. But at the end of the day, they don't feel attacked. They're not going to be like, wow, they must hate me as a human being because they don't like spaghetti. Right? But we do this with other things like politics, with religion and stuff, because we feel even connected. But here's the thing. If we learn something new and that changes our opinion about something, we don't go, oh, I was an awful human being before because I believed this. We go, oh, I just learned something. Ha! All those people that told me that before was stupid. And we don't even talk about how stupid we were, or we do. We were just like, wow, I used to be really dumb, But we don't associate that. We're allowed to attack ourselves in that way. So let others do it too. Try not to take yourself so seriously that you get caught in this trap of of pushing everybody away, you know? But anyways, that's how to navigate those type of scenarios. I mean, it really helps to just allow other people to talk and agree with the points that you agree with. And then ask them more. But anyways, Joe has some stuff to say, so I'm going to give it back over to him.
I did.
Yeah.
People will take offense if they prepared the spaghetti.
Oh, that's true. That's different. You're right.
I've been there before.
Man.
You eat the spaghetti. I don't like spaghetti.
I like this for you.
Oh, Ryan, you're totally right. I love where you went with that. I love where you went with the religion topic and everything like that, because it is so true. Like, I mean, Ryan and I are Catholic, but we've had Muslims on this show that we have a great connection with, and I've spoken with Hindus. I've had friends that are Hindu people. I've had friends that are Buddhist people. There are all kinds of religions that we can interact with and learn from. And the interesting thing is, even though, like Ryan was saying, we're all connected, we all have points of connection. There are truths in our religion that are truths in other people's religions. And the interesting thing is we might emphasize them differently. And so because of that different emphasis, to interact with someone helps bring out more in that truth that we may not have thought about.
Right, absolutely.
And so it adds a new dimension to our own. I love what Ryan was saying. People all around us can help us to grow. Whether they are acting like a friend or acting like an enemy, we can grow from that interaction. We can grow from that experience. People, we're here to serve others, truly. And the more we, look at others beyond just ourselves, and when we try to focus on being the best we can for those around us, an amazing thing happens. We take our eyes and our minds off of ourselves, and we start to focus outward. You know what that solves? Solves depression in a lot of cases. It solves us being stressed out about our situation, because really, if we start to look at other people and trying to help them, we start to notice that other people have problems too. And I remember a guy saying from stage one time, he said, you know what? You can try this if you want, but talk to somebody and find out their problems. And then what you start to understand is, if you traded problems with them, you would want your own back.
Oh yeah, for me for sure. Can't imagine having someone else's problems, unless they're problems I already figured out how to solve. But I wouldn't want those back.
Right. No, it's like, I already solved that one. Why do I want to do it again?
Yeah, that's true.
But it's amazing. And I know I've told this story before, but a friend of mine got married. I was in his wedding, and they had a fight at their wedding reception, right? And it was like this big argument. And the father of the bride said to me, he was like, man, it's their first day of marriage. They're already having problems. I'm like, you bet they are. He's like, he looked at me. He's like, what? I'm like, well, of course they're going to have marriage problems. They're married.
You're married, you have married problems. You're single, you have single problems.
Exactly. And he laughed. He was like, oh, yeah, you're right, because you just have problems. Exactly. You're going to have problems no matter what. You just handle them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some problems you don't really ever solve. You just kind of cope with them. There are problems like that, but our lives, we're here for a reason. We have a purpose, and that purpose involves those around us. And the more we can focus outward, the more we can focus on loving, the better things go inside us. Because we forget about ourselves. We forget about our own problems. We forget about all the things that were bringing us down. Because we focus on another person. We focus on bringing light into their life. And I'm telling you, that'd be an amazing person to be in one of those communities that argues all the time. But I love what Ryan said. He's like, imagine if you went into that community. He's like, that's a very interesting point. Can you tell me how you got to that conclusion? One of the things you might get is, you might get a little bit of a standoffish response. They might be thinking you're baiting them or something. Depending on the community. If they're used to just everything is an arguing statement, they might think, "What are you trying to do?"
That's true. Kenshin did say that they have done that before, and they love how it just throws people off. Yeah, it's great.
Yep, it's fun, and yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. Ryan, did you have anything else?
No, but I appreciate the topic, and I hope that helps. I hope that we've cleared up, at least to some degree, how to draw that line for yourself about, who are your true friends, who are your friends that you can rely on, that sort of thing. But yeah, if you look around you, you've got your friends that you don't really maybe know that well, but you interact with them, and we call them friends because we interact with them, and we're not enemies, we're not against each other, so maybe we're for each other, I'm not sure. But then you have friends that you definitely know are for you. They're definitely on your side. They're definitely trying to they actively participate in your life to make help you become the best version of yourself. And if you can do that for other people, you can actually take part in their life to help them become the best version of themselves. I mean, that's mad respect, and people just fall in love with you. I mean, it's so important. It's so good. It's really wonderful. But yeah, thank you so much, Kenshin Slayer, and we appreciate the topic. It's great to hear it. So, yeah, we got time for more, right?
Quick one.
Okay, quick one. So who's next? Savlev, if you're here, drop it a booby bop in the chat.
Drop it a booby bop.
Drop it a booby bop. Lay, if you're in the chat, drop a
Lay's right there
in the chat. Lux, if you're in the chat, drop a whisk bomb in the chat. Good luck. Hi, I'm sorry, Savlev. I don't know what that is. Never even seen those letters next to each other before. Okay, I'm kidding. How to confess. Sweet. Hey, we got we're gonna do that topic since Savlev. I'm supposed to ask you if you want it covered.
I think
if you want it covered, let us know. But it's how to confess would be the topic. You already covered it. Covered a similar topic to mine though. I mean, it's fine. I mean, we haven't necessarily talked about how to confess. I mean, I did give a little bit of a story there, and that would make it quick. So if you're down, we're down. But if you don't really want us to do it, we don't have to. Just feel absolutely free to say no. So yeah, let us know. Otherwise, I know we've got Lay here, and we also do have Lux.
Man, oh man, everybody's here tonight.
Yeah, it's awesome to see you guys. Feel free to, if you guys want to elaborate more. All right, cool.
Okay.
Let's do it then. Because it is getting late. Joe has, lots going on. He has to be up in like soon-ish. 4:30? What? Yeah, he has to get up real quick. So, yeah. We can't go too late. So,
but y'all know my sleeping habits, so it's all good.
So this is from Sevlev, as you guys know. Thank you so much for putting this topic in and allowing us to do it. It's titled How to Confess.
Hiya, Sevlev here. I was wondering if you had any tips on how to confess to someone. I've been becoming infatuated with this one girl for about 3 years now. For a little background, I moved to a new state and had absolutely no friends for about a year until she approached me and invited me to join her friend group. She helped me out of a state where I hadn't talked to anyone besides family for almost a full year. She just simply did so much for me and truly changed my life. She's become the closest friend I have and has been for years now. But as we became friends and I got to know her, I slowly started to fall for every single part of her personality and habits. I know that I've fallen deep, but I don't know how to confess. I'm really scared that she'll reject me and think of me as less than a friend. I'm very bad at picking up on signals and talking in general still, and I don't know how to handle this situation. Thank you for any help you could lend. From Sevlev.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Sevlev.
Great question.
Yeah, and picking up on signals, that's one of those things. It's a learning process, and even if you think you got it down, you could be wrong.
And people are a moving target.
So, I'm glad that you pointed that out. Like, you're not good at it. Good, because that might be a road you don't want to travel. Anyways, so that yeah, good topic. I'm just gonna give it right over to Joe. Go for it, man.
Nori senpai, different girls have different signals. Yes, they do. And same girls have different signals depending on what day it could be.
Ooh. Ooh.
My wife, her signals have changed time and time again over the years. It's amazing.
Monday through Thursday. Friday through Saturday.
Yep.
Different faces.
Depends on what day it is. Depends on what time it is. Depends on what's happening that day. Depends on,
right.
There's all kinds of depends on. So
yeah, they just woke up. They're going to bed. Different faces.
So it's interesting. So here's one of the things that I do. I will share with you an exercise that has served me so well in situations where I am afraid. Because what's going on here is you say, I'm really scared that she'll reject me and think of me as less of a friend. Okay, I totally understand that. What you fear is actually the unknown. we fear a bad result, but really the thing we fear the most is the unknown. We don't know if it's going to happen that way. We don't know if it's going to be good or bad. We just the fact that we don't know, that's what we're scared of the most, right? Because if you knew what was going to happen, if you asked that, then obviously it might not, it might change whatever you decide to do, but you wouldn't be scared of it anymore because you would know. But it would just it might influence your decision. Okay. So here's an exercise that I have done over and over and over again when I have something coming up or a decision to make or an action to take that I don't know what's going to happen. I'm getting kind of nervous because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I ask myself the following question: what's the worst thing that could possibly happen here? And I would encourage you to ask yourself that same question. What's the worst possible outcome of you saying something, confessing your feelings for this girl? What's the absolute worst thing? And it sounds like from what you're saying here, the worst thing that in your mind right now that could happen, she rejects you, she doesn't even want to be your friend anymore. It just, you ask, maybe throws in some laughing in your face, and throws a rock at you, or who knows, right? I don't know. There's all kinds of things that could get it. And you can be humorous in this situation too, like, I'm going to do this, the world's going to explode, and, like, the car is going to fall out of the sky and hit my piano. Like, you never, you can be funny. That probably wasn't funny.
I was laughing.
It was funny when I thought it. And I'm gonna laugh anyway. So here's what I do. So I do that. I ask myself, what's the worst that can happen? And I really come to grips with what's the worst that can happen. And a lot of times I have to ask it to myself a few times before I finally get to the answer. Oh no, wait, this is actually the worst thing that could possibly happen. Realistically, I play the little game and I do the funny outcomes too, like a tsunami is going to come from Alaska and cover Michigan, like who knows. But anyway, if she rejects you and you don't have her as a friend anymore, what will you do? What will you do? And what that does is that, I ask myself this. I'm like, okay, what's the worst that could possibly happen? I finally get to one where it's like, okay, this is absolutely the worst thing that could happen as an outcome for this situation. What would I do if that actually happened? How would I respond? Well, I might cry for a while. Okay. After I get done with the emotional, response, what am I going to do? And then I start to see, okay, well, I guess it's not really that bad because I have a plan. I mean, yeah, it's going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to really stink. And it's not what I want at all. But if it did happen, it's not the end of the world. I still have options. I still have things that I can do. I can still pick up and move along. And I'll tell you, when the worst case scenario happened to me with relationships, which was, either getting broken up with or, not, or being rejected or whatever, right? I would turn to music. I would play. And if you have any type of creative skill, and it doesn't matter what it is, it could be music, it could be art, it could be writing, it could be architecture, it could be electronics, it could be, soldering brass, it could be construction. There's all kinds of different things that it could be, but some kind of a creative energy that you have inside you at moments of emotional turmoil like that, I find those are great moments for creativity because our emotions are all wound up. And so I know myself well enough to know that if I get hit with an emotional storm, if something really, really hard happens to me and I remember losing my house. I remember the emotional turmoil that came from that. I remember getting broken up with. I remember the emotional turmoil that happened for months after that. I remember getting rejected by the girl who would later become my wife. I didn't know this at the time. But every single time that I went through something like that, that hit me emotionally super duper hard, the result was at least one really good song. And in many cases, multiple really good songs. And I was like, and I look at that song and I play it and I'm like, wow, that came from the energy I had from this emotional distress. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, other people might not think they're beautiful. Other people might think they're terrible, but it doesn't matter because, but that's, so there's never any wasted experience then. And I started to learn this over time, because I'd get into the emotional turmoil and it'd last for a long time and I'd write music and I'd write good music and, and it was some of I would progress. I would change and evolve as a songwriter in those times. And over the years, I started to notice that pattern. And I was like, you know what? So if something bad happens here, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up my guitar. I'm going to pick up a keyboard. I'm going to sit down on my drum set. I'm going to do something musically. And I'm going to play. And I'm going to just cry maybe while I play. I remember when I was about to lose my house, I was working on a project with Ryan, first project we ever worked on together. And it was so hard, and it was so painful, and it was so stressful, and I had all kinds of people in denial around me, and it was just like, what is going on? Like, I can't, like, everything was so stressful. And I remember going down to the basement studio that I was in, the townhouse I was about to lose, and I went down there and I recorded. And I remember like weeping while I was recording. And now anytime I hear that little guitar solo that I wrote that night and that I played in this one song, a little tear comes to my eye. And in my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful parts of that entire album, at least that I worked on. The stuff Ryan worked on was like light years beyond my abilities, but that's neither here nor there. So I would encourage you to do that exercise. Think, what's the worst thing that could happen? Then think, what would my response be to that worst thing that could happen? And then always understand, no matter what happens, it's not the end of the world. You do have options. And this painful, sad experience can be turned into something beautiful. And a lot of times, the more painful it is, the more beautiful something can come as a result. Now, if the good happens, great. That's awesome. But it's easy to adjust up from the worst thing that can happen. Like, you think the worst thing that can happen, it's easy to deal with something that's better than that, right? And then also, before you actually do the thing, after you do the exercise, right? You do the exercise, what's the worst that can happen? What would I do in response? Now what you can do, now that you know this, you can actually take steps to try and make it better. So you're like, okay, what would prevent that worst thing from happening? Is there anything I can do to prevent that? Is there anything I can, is there anything I can get? Is there anything I can try? Is there anything I can learn in order to make this better? And then it's on a pathway to discovery, and you can adjust up. It's much easier to do that than to be like, oh, I hope this good thing happens. And then if it doesn't, like, all your hopes are dashed and you're down in a pit. No, it's just honestly look at the possibility of the worst possible scenario. And then be prepared for it. And I find that brings me so much peace of mind. I do not fear the thing anymore, because what I realized was I didn't fear the thing. I feared the unknown. And then once I figured out how I would deal with it, it was no longer unknown. And yeah, so that's what I usually do. Hopefully that helps. Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. And that is a really good. What?
Do you gotta leave and come back?
No, we're good. We're good this time. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, what Joe first, was talking about was, well, of course he talked about it for the whole thing, what you fear is the unknown, right? You don't know what's going to happen. And so it worries you, right? You like what you have now, but you do want something more. And that compels you to desire to ask, but you don't know what will happen. So you're worried. Here's the interesting thing, though. To put it into a logical and poetic form, to get what you do not have, right? You don't have a relationship like that's, well, you foresee a relationship that's even closer, that's more intimate, more romantic, etc., right? You have to go where you have not been to get what you do not have, right? You have to go where you have not been to get what you do not have. You have to go where you have not seen to get what remains unseen. Right? You have to venture into the dark sometimes and shed light into it so you can see what's there. That's the only way to find out. But if you phrase it that way I just said, you're going into the dark and you're shining light into it. It's a positive thing. When you take a step forward like this, we can get so caught up on what's scary, what we don't know that we are afraid of happening. We get so caught up on what we think is going to be bad. Here's the thing though. It's not necessarily bad if she doesn't accept, right? Let's say you want to go out with her, right? But in the end, she doesn't want to go out with you. Is that bad? No, it's just how it is, right? It's not evil, right? It's just how it is. And that's fine. In fact, it's even better. Why? Yeah, at first you're going to be let down, but then you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? Now it's done and over with. You got your feelings off your chest, and now you can stop worrying about it so much. Stop worrying about confessing and continue having a relationship. I'd say one thing that's really helpful here is to put your mind in the right place. Identify like, hey, this is a human being, right? And I think she's amazing. And I would like to be with her for the rest of my life. It'd be wonderful. However, right, that's not necessary for me to decide. And that's not necessarily what's best for her. Am I what's best for her? I don't know that. All I can do is try to be what's best for her. And that might mean friendship, and that might mean something more. But either way, I can still be that no matter what, right? I can try to be the best version of myself, right? I can try to help her become the best version of herself by being the best version of myself, right? Whether I'm with her or not. So I'll just ask and see how she feels. And regardless, I'm going to be a loving human being and a good friend, right? I think if we put into perspective, it helps us see, you know what? It's okay. It's okay if she rejects you. Because the fear of her not being a friend anymore, here's the thing. I want you to think about this for a second. If you have someone and you're in a relationship with them, okay? Imagine you're in a relationship with somebody, right? You're dating, and they break up with you. And once they break up with you, they say, no, I can't be your friend, right? That means they either want you to be in a relationship with them that's romantic or nothing from you at all. That's not a good human being. I'm just being honest. If you're a person and they like, okay, so you're a human being, right? And if they're like, yeah, so you have feelings with me, I guess I cannot be friends with you anymore. I cannot physically or mentally desire to help you anymore. I don't want to be nice to you anymore. Just because you like me. Well, that's not the kind of person you want to marry anyways. So what's cool is asking somebody out is kind of like the testing grounds. Like, are you good enough for me? Because if you ask somebody and they're like, no, I don't really feel the same way about you, but let's be friends. You've just proven yourself to be a good friend. Thank you for completing my test. You're awesome. Or they're like, yeah, I'd love to go out with you. I've been waiting for you to ask me for like ever. Thanks. All right. Awesome. Or they're like, that's super awkward. and then they just kind of they're not around you anymore. And they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to be friends anymore. Well, they failed the test, and they probably were going to eventually harm you one way or another anyways. If they're the kind of person that just goes, yeah, I don't want to be around you anymore because you asked me out, because you had feelings, because you experienced a feeling that you probably couldn't even control. Like, it just wasn't up to you, you know? Because you experienced that, I'm not your friend anymore. Yeah, I don't think that is that it's a good friend. So you know her better than we do, but I bet you know that she's the kind of person, if you look up to her this much and you're like, wow, she's an incredible person, she's a really good friend, she went out of her way for me, blah, blah, blah. She sounds like the kind of person that is not going to hate you because you have feelings for her. If she doesn't have those feelings back, right? Just because she doesn't have the feelings back, she's not going to hate you, right? As long as she's a good person. So you don't have to, like Joe said, you can imagine the worst possible and figure out, how do I walk myself through that? What happens if she does hate me? And then figure that out. I think you can try to rekindle the friendship, or you can go, well, then that's not really a good friend, and let it go. Or, hey, I think you're misunderstanding, like maybe she's trying to figure it out herself, and she's like, I don't know how to respond to that. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I heard that you're supposed to just walk away, so I'm going to not talk to them anymore. Maybe, right? Maybe that's their response. And so what you need to do is explain it to her, like, hey, like, just because I experienced these feelings for you doesn't mean that, we can't be friends. It's just an experience. And, it's because you're so awesome. And I think, why not be friends at least? Like, we were friends before, we were friends during, so we can be friends after. And so if that happens, that's how I would respond. Just try to talk it out, and that will go well. It should, as long as you have the courage to do so. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have here. Obviously we're going a little quick on it, but yeah, I think that you don't really have a whole lot to be afraid of if they're a good person, right? If they're a good friend, it sounds like they're a really great friend. And I think they will continue being a great friend, even if they don't reciprocate those feelings. Reciprocate. But if they do, awesome. So good luck. Good luck, Sevlev. How do you do it? However you want, man. There's so many different ways. There's so many different ways of asking that question. Like, seriously, if it were me, I'd just make it the most weirdest thing possible just for fun. But like, in the middle of a conversation about apples or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, by the way, I really like you a lot. I'd like to go out with you, but you don't have to say yes. Actually, you do. I wrote up a contract. If you sign it, you have to say yes to my question. Hold on.
You already signed it.
Ooh, yeah. So let's go on a date. How about we go to... Oh, wait. Coronavirus. Shoot. How about we hang out over the internet?
Yeah. Internet.
Yes, smooth? No. Sometimes I like to be really smooth, and that's fun. But most of the time that's just being witty. Being smooth is just being having a response. But yeah, I think, there's lots of fun ways to ask someone out. You can come up with your own. But yeah, enjoy it. Whatever you do, enjoy it. Enjoy the experience of asking somebody out, regardless of whether they say yes or no. Enjoy the experience. All right. Sounds weird, but seriously. Aim to enjoy the experience of asking them out, especially if it's awkward. It's going to be great. Embrace the awkward. That's kind of the theme of this one, at least on my side. So anyways, that's all I got. Joe, did you have anything you want to conclude with?
Nope.
All right.
Awesome, man. Way to go.
Thanks. You too, man.
Thank you, Sevlev.
Thank you, Sevlev. You are amazing.
Right at the contract.
We appreciate having you here. Thank you so much. I look forward to using this advice. I'll be sure to write up the contract. Nice. Yes, I mean, just seriously, that'd be awesome. Like, hey, I wrote this contract for you, so feel free. Like, if you want to sign it, that's cool. If you don't, no big deal. But it's in our best interest. So take a look, read it over, and it's just like, will you go out with me? Yes or no? Sign here. Or it's really, really like lawyerisk. Really get all the terms and lingo of the lawyers. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for being here with us. We love you. We appreciate you. And we thank you so much for being willing to share your life with us, that we get a chance to share ours with you. So we can talk about, the worries that and the different struggles we've gone through. And it's just so cool. And you guys are awesome in the chat. So it's a great pleasure to be with you guys. But with that, we're going to sign off. We're going to get going. Joe's probably going to finish up his work and then hit some sleep. But yeah,
it's going to be
because it's about that time. I might as well. Anyways, love you guys. See you later,
guys. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Yep. See you on Wednesday. Oh, by the way, Joe, I think we might be going back to only doing these on Wednesdays. So, we kind of talked about that a little bit before this show.
Yes, we will talk more about it on Wednesday.
Okay. We will confirm probably
we'll let
by Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Yes. We're gonna go back to possibly just doing these on Wednesdays. Well, I know obviously you guys are sad, but we'll make up for it. We're gonna make up for it because we're gonna start doing videos. Joe's been working on doing some videos and stuff. So, as far as like Double Cup of Joe and things like that. So, you guys should still be able to get your daily fill. If not, have a better value for your time. So yes, Theology Thursday. Oh, buddy, I wish. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you all on Wednesday. If not even before that, you can come back tomorrow morning. Taco Tuesday. Oh wait, yeah, that's a wrong movie.
Taco Tuesday. Everything is awesome.
Everything is good when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome.
Oh, nice. All right, love you guys so much.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Peace.